college students, as they head back to campuses, it turns out that they're spending more money now to kind of make their dorm room more than just temporary homes. So luxury dorm room tours are dominating TikTok, with students transforming their rooms with wallpaper, custom headboards. They've got the luxury bed linens. They've got the expensive mattress toppers. Some students and their parents are spending between, listen to this, guys, $5,000 and $10,000.
Whoa.
Just on decorations.
That can't be the norm.
For their
That's got to be some people. Like I noticed, Stephanie, when you're on campus at Rollins, especially if you're out of town, it's easier to buy on Amazon and ship it there. I get that.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I was talking to some parents, and they were saying, I was talking to a couple who had 3 kids, and they were saying the world of this whole dorm situation has changed since they've had their last child.
Yeah.
And they said, we never had this much stuff. They were I showed you guys.
We saw
the Amazon boxes, but they are adding more stuff to those rooms. It's just the trend.
That's a lot of money.
$5,000 to $10,000.
I was crammed in with 3 roommates my freshman year. There was no room for anything else.
Listen, I'm like this.
Right.
Sleeping to a room.
Times have changed.
I had barely a quarter. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching Good Day Orlando Extra on this Thursday. Really good show today, and we'll be right back here again tomorrow. You take care.
See ya.
See you at 4 a.m.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We are getting ready for a news conference right now at the State Attorney's office in Orlando, where we are expecting her to talk about the ongoing audit and a case backlog as well. I'll give you a live look right now inside the State Attorney's office in Orlando. This is the office of Monique Worrell, who's the state prosecutor for Orange and Osceola Counties. You may remember she announced back in May an audit of the office's spending and some other things amid a budget shortfall there, and she accused her predecessor, Andrew Bain, who had taken her spot after she was removed from office initially. She accused him of mismanaging spending when it comes to that office. And so it sounds like that audit has been completed. We're expecting some updates from her in just a couple of minutes. She's also expected to talk about reducing the non-arrest case backlog. You also may remember back in April, She announced that the office planned to stop accepting non-arrest cases, or at least many non-arrest cases. After that announcement, the Attorney General ended up announcing that he was going to send in 13 more prosecutors to help out with that. So we expect an update on that. We are also going to take you in a little bit to Polk County, where the Florida Division of Emergency Management announced some new preparations for the hurricane season, and UCF deciding on a new starting quarterback. But let's go ahead and listen in as Monique Worrell walks up to the podium here and begins speaking. This is live in Orlando right now.
All right, so thank you all for being here this morning. As I stated, as a part of my commitment to transparency, I will be giving quarterly updates to give the public information on the latest happenings with the State Attorney's Office. As I mentioned in my quarterly update back in April, I was going to be conducting an audit on the building, and I will be talking to you a little bit this morning about what that audit has revealed and where we go from here, as well as some other information regarding the non-arrest cases that I know you all have been waiting to get some information on. All right, so first I want to start off with the mission of this State Attorney's Office. It is to use data-driven methods to hold offenders accountable, to provide restorative justice for victims, to redirect children and people in need of services in an effort to build stronger, safer communities, aiming to achieve the highest standards of ethics and competence in order to promote a fair and equitable legal system, thereby promoting public safety. So, with the non-arrest backlog, in April I told you that we had 13,670 non-arrest cases in our backlog. I am pleased to report that today we have only 10,687 cases in our backlog. So what this means is that we've seen a 21% decrease. That is 2,983 cases that has been reduced. And what we've seen is 1,600 cases processed, 1,599 that have declined to been filed, and 40 actual charges that came from that. So this is really important because with the help of statewide prosecutor's office, they assigned 6 prosecutors to our office, and their sole mission was to help us to bring down this backlog. And what we've seen is that in a duration of 4 months, at a rate of about 746 cases a month, we've seen that 2,983 case decrease in our backlog. So it's a great start. We've done very well with those numbers, but I think it's really telling and really important to note that it took the full-time commitment of 6 additional prosecutors in this office to show this 21% decrease in our non-arrest backlog. So this was basically in alignment with what I stated back in April when I said, listen, this is a problem and we need assistance. Thankful to the Office of the Statewide Prosecutor for sending us assistance, and this is what we have seen as a result of that assistance. All right, trial statistics for the second quarter. We have seen a decrease in our trial statistics for the second quarter, and that is not what I wanted to see. I told you in the first quarter that I was going to be working to increase our trial stats so that we could see a higher conviction rate in the cases that we're taking to trial. Now, I'm going to talk about a few things in the audit that will explain some of why we're seeing that decrease, but I want to commit to the public today that we are going to continue to take strides to increase training, to do everything that we can to get those numbers back up to where they were when I left office in 2023. All right, and now the audit. So there was an audit that was conducted over this office over a period of 15 weeks. It's really important to understand that this audit was focused on moving forward, not looking backwards. This audit was focused on how can we make this office work most efficiently and effectively within the resources that we have. There has been great inconsistency. In fact, over the last 13 years, there have been 6 different administrations. So what that means is that you have a building that is fractured. Not fractured because of ideology, because one state attorney believed one thing and another one believed something different, but because when you have that many administrations in a short period of time, you have things that are left over. You have different processes from different state attorneys that have held on throughout those 13 years. And everyone is doing things in a different way, and that breeds inefficiencies. So the office is not working collaboratively. The office is not functioning in a way that's conducive to our most effective and successful prosecutions. So the purpose of this audit was to evaluate the office and provide data-driven recommendations that can guide us towards a more efficient, effective, and sustainable organizational model by analyzing our workflows, developing benchmarks, and creating a roadmap on how we move forward from here. Our goals were to reduce burnout and strengthen support for our attorneys, to clarify roles and define employee responsibilities clearly, to standardize our evaluation process, to streamline our workflows, and enhance communication and collaboration internally as well as externally. The methods that were used is that there were 288 staff surveys. There were 54 employees interviewed. Our structure of staffing and chain of command was reviewed. There was a 3-year case trend analysis that was done, as well as in workflow observation in real time and a study that reviewed that. And essentially the key takeaways of the audit based on that workflow study of what we call our C ASAs, that is our 3rd-degree felony ASAs, that is the group that was studied. And what was found is that there were 5,797 open cases, and there were only 12 C-level attorneys in Orange and Osceola counties who were assigned to those cases. We see that there is high turnover. 28% of last year's hiring class has already separated, and the number for the 2 hiring classes before that is even higher. And also that we are the 3rd largest state attorney's office in the state, but we are among the lowest in starting salary. So the key takeaways is that we are having a high turnover because with this high of a caseload, these attorneys cannot be properly prepared to go to court and do the work that is expected of them. And with such low salaries, the question for them becomes, why should they? And what we see a lot in separation as the attorneys go through their exit interviews, when they're asked, why are you leaving and why are you going elsewhere? The answer is most often because they're going to start me at more than $100,000 a year, and here I'm making $68,000 a year to deal with this high caseload. So the 9th Judicial Circuit, which is composed of Orange and Osceola counties, has a population based on the 2020 census of 1,791,927 people. Our total budget for this office is $36 million. That is per capita, per 1,000 people, $20,360. And our ASA salary is set at $68,000, our starting salary for new assistant state attorneys. Now, there are 20 judicial circuits in the state of Florida. I'm showing 4 here because these are of the 4 most populated circuits, okay? So if you look at the 11th Circuit, which is Miami, the 17th Circuit, which is Broward, us, and the 6th Circuit, which is Pinellas, you'll see that we are the 3rd largest circuit by population in the state. However, if you look at our budget per capita, you will see that Miami is funded at $25,200 per capita. Broward is $24,750 per capita. Pinellas is at $26,550 per capita. And the 9th Circuit, Orange and Osceola County, is only $20,360 per capita. So what does that mean? Why does it matter that our funding is so much lower per capita than the circuits that have similar population sizes to us? Well, again, looking through the population size, again, you see us here, we come in 3rd, but when you look at the budget, we come in last. Miami-Dade's budget is $71 million. Broward is $47 million. Pinellas is $40 million, and the 9th Circuit is at $36 million. Here's, again, the per capita per 1,000 people. You see, again, we come in last at $20,000. And here are the starting salaries. Again, you see we come in last at $68,000. This is just another slide showing you the pay disparity between prosecutors in this circuit and other circuits throughout the state, particularly the circuits that we're reviewing for the purposes of this presentation. But also, if you look at the pay of our prosecutors in comparison to that of our local law enforcement officers, you will see that there is also a significant pay disparity. Now, let me preface this with this. I am not saying that law enforcement doesn't deserve to be paid what they're paid. So please ensure that your headlines do not miscommunicate what I'm actually saying. I am saying that the state attorney's office is every bit a part of law enforcement. And when the legislature says that they are going to fund law enforcement, but they fail to fund the state attorney's office, then they are not funding all of law enforcement. Our local law enforcement officers have a starting salary on average that is the same as a starting assistant state attorney. Assistant state attorneys not only have to go to college, but they also have to go through law school. They often come here with an extreme amount of student loan debt. Law enforcement officers are able to quickly make up that gap on average by doing just 10 hours of overtime per week. With the caseloads that I told you that my attorneys have, they are often doing much more than 10 hours of overtime per week, but they are not paid for that overtime. So when you look at the deficit between them, there is a $24,000 pay gap between what our local law enforcement officers make when they're new in comparison to what our assistant state attorneys make when they are new. Again, this is not about law enforcement salaries. This is about, if you're going to fund law enforcement, the state attorney's office is very much a part of law enforcement, and it is us who takes the cases that law enforcement brings us to the conviction that ultimately assists with keeping our communities safe. Additional key impacts. The legislature granted additional judges to the judiciary here in the 9th Judicial Circuit. We did not get any additional attorney spots with that. So what that means is that I have lawyers that are required to be in multiple places at the same time. We had an issue just last week where a lawyer was set for trial in 2 different courtrooms in front of 2 different judges. Why? Because the judiciary has enough judges to move through the dockets. However, we do not have enough prosecutors, and especially not enough prosecutors with the experience that's necessary to run through these cases that the judges want them to. A typical day for an attorney here is that they start their day in pretrial detention hearings, because we have one judge who's doing nothing but pretrial detention hearings. So they have to go to that courtroom before they ever get to go to the courtroom that they are assigned to work in front of the judge with the caseload that they're assigned to. And then if the judge in a trial week decides that they are going to start farming out cases because they have additional judges, the same prosecutors who are prosecuting cases in one courtroom are then being asked or required to go and try additional cases at the same time in other courtrooms. These are the type of things that add to the stress and the attrition of the attorneys in this office. So the recommendations are that we restructure management and align our bureau structure according with our workload data. Modernize our case management system and automate tasks, streamlining processes and reducing clerical backlogs. Standardize pay and implement merit-based pay structure that's tied to experience and performance. Expand staffing, increase personnel and office resources in our next budget cycle. Our budget considerations are to try to match ASA salaries to be competitive with assistant state attorneys across the state. Because what we're finding is when we interview lawyers and they are interviewing in these other circuits that are paying the $75,000 or higher starting salary, they are not taking the job with us, but they're going to go work in one of the circuits where they can get the higher pay. Have money for merit increases, and again, we are asking for additional FTEs. Those are individual prosecutors in addition to the ones that we are already allotted. Now, I'll tell you that there have been talks to raise the starting salary across the board, across the state, to $70,000. And we have in the past given raises. In fact, when I became state attorney in 2021, at that time the starting salary was $50,000. And I went to the legislature at that time in 2021 to advocate that we should raise the starting salary to $75,000. The legislature gave a temporary increase and didn't fund a continuing increase. Well, our office continued to fund an increase in salary, not to the 75, but ultimately up to the 68 that we are currently hiring people. But here's the problem. The problem is it's not sustainable because our budget does not cover those increases. So if we raise our starting salary to $70,000 as is being done across the state, ultimately we are going to be at a budget deficit. We are not going to continue at that rate because the $36 million that the legislature has assigned to our circuit will not support that. But we also need people in this building to prosecute these cases. So our audit has provided us with a 5-year implementation plan starting right now in the fall and continuing through the fall of 2030. There are different steps and different phases. I can tell you that we have already started. We are in the process of developing a career development program that will allow us to retain lawyers, to train them more, to help them feel more comfortable in the building and with their roles and what they're doing, and that will provide them with increases based on their level of experience. We have asked lawyers to give us a 3-year commitment when they come in, and many of those lawyers fulfill that commitment. We are creating a standardized employee evaluation process that will allow the lawyers to know what exactly is expected of them and give them feedback as they go through their tenure here on what they're doing well and what they can do better and how they can attain the next level of employment. We have an electronic case management working group that has been developed to help us revamp our very old system that was built back in the 80s. So we have a case management working group that's working to look at the products that are currently available and how we can bring our case management system into 2025. And we have legislative meetings that are scheduled to, again, request additional fundings and positions for this office to lighten the load on the attorneys that are here, to help us to provide competitive salaries, and ultimately, because I don't want to be in a budget deficit. It is very important to me that I handle taxpayers' dollars well and responsibly. And what I don't want is to get down the road a few years and then have to be in a position to ask people to furlough because we don't have the funds that are necessary to pay salaries. And ultimately, as we give raises without receiving any more funding, that's where we're headed. But I have to give raises because if I don't, we won't have anyone to work here. And it is at the detriment of the people in this community. So we are working collaboratively. We are working very, very hard to ensure that we can provide our prosecutors with a fair living wage based on their training and their experience. We all know that the cost of living here in Orlando has skyrocketed over the last several years. So we have to be able to pay our employees a rate that reflects that. And that is what is going to allow us to run the most effective and efficient state attorney's office that we can possibly run. Thank you. Dave?
Guys, we'll take a few on-topic questions if you have them.
State Attorney Monique Worrell speaking there, getting ready to take a couple questions. We're going to have to take a quick break here on Fox Local, but we'll come back after this, so you can keep it right here.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Here's a live look at Monique Worrell, the state attorney for Orange and Osceola Counties, who's continuing to answer some questions live right now at her office in Orlando. Let's go ahead and listen back in.
So my concerns are that our expectations for lawyers 6 months to a year out of law school are unrealistic. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic to expect that someone graduates from law school in May, takes the bar in July, starts working in the office in August, and they're trying felony cases flawlessly within 1 year. That's unrealistic, especially with the fact that we have 29% of the attorneys in our office, only 29%, have more than 5 years experience. Only 29%. So there aren't even enough people to mentor and guide the young attorneys to help them to be the best attorneys that they can be. And when they have caseloads like the ones that I've described here today, in addition to being required to be in so many different places at one time, it's just not realistic that they can be the best attorneys that they can be.
Just to be clear, I mean, the audit, in your opinion, is not a reflection of the attorney's.
Absolutely not. And thank you for asking that question, because I want to be very clear. The audit is not a reflection on the attorneys. The audit is a reflection on the fractures within this office that we are going to be working diligently to repair.
Back on the topic of the non-arrests, I'll kind of follow up on something you mentioned. What do you tell agencies that have these arrests or have these cases that are just sitting on their shelves?
So the cases were sitting on our shelves, and so what they have been instructed to do is, if they have a case that they are not able to make an arrest on, they cannot issue a notice to appear on, then they need to contact our office, and we will sit down with them to work through whether or not this case can go forward. So they also shouldn't have any cases sitting on their shelves. It wasn't to stop cases from moving the system, but it's really important to understand that there are many ways that you can bring a case into the system. An arrest is one of them, but there are also adult civil citations. There are also notices to appear. These are non-arrest situations where an officer can require someone to appear either at the state attorney's office for an adult civil citation or appear in court with a notice to appear. So the intention here was not to increase arrests. However, there are sometimes those cases where an officer believes they have probable cause, but they don't know if it's going to be enough for us to be able to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt. Those are the cases that we encourage them to come in and sit with one of our attorneys. Don't just send it over and let it sit on the shelf. Let's get to it right now, because when the case sits on the shelf, the evidence is going to start to deteriorate. The witnesses are going to start to move, and the value of the case decreases. So it is definitely in the best interest of the public for us to handle it right away.
We have time for one more, and then the state attorney has another commitment. One last question.
This one's a little off topic, but where are you in making a decision on whether an officer is transferable from the police charges in that case regarding the pursuit for pedestrian mischief?
So we do not discuss ongoing and open cases, so I'm not able to make a comment on that, but as soon as a decision is made, I'm sure you all will know about it. Okay? Thank you all so much.
State Attorney Monique Worrell taking questions from reporters there after giving a presentation and talking about the office audit, the non-arrest case backlog as well. She gave some numbers that showed a 21% decrease in that backlog of non-arrest cases. You may remember, as I said earlier, she announced back in April that she would have to stop accepting a number of those non-arrest cases because they just had such a backlog, 13,000 plus cases in that backlog back in April. They've been able to get that down to about 3,000 cases. It's now at roughly 10,000, a little more than 10,000 cases, but a 21% drop. They've reduced that by about 3,000 cases, and that's thanks to the help of 6 additional prosecutors that were brought in from the Office of the Statewide Prosecutor. She said with a full-time commitment to doing nothing but helping with those cases specifically. So in those few months, been able to reduce that backlog. She also talked about the office audit and looking at some changes to make sure their office is able to continue working more efficiently. She talked about the need for more consistency within the office as well, and also needing some more funding so that they can raise that starting salary. She said the starting salary there about $68,000, and really that's not necessarily competitive with some of the other places and other judicial circuits that the job candidate pool is searching for. And so talking about the need for that, she says there are enough judges, but certainly not enough attorneys to work through some of those cases. So that was State Attorney Monique Worrell giving those updates in that news conference that we brought you live here on Fox Local, live from her office in downtown Orlando. Also in Orlando, we are learning that the rainbow crosswalk in Orlando outside the Pulse nightclub site has been painted over. This is a statement from Mayor Buddy Dyer that is just into our newsroom here, saying, "We are devastated to learn that overnight the state painted over the Pulse Memorial crosswalk on Orange Avenue. This callous action of hastily removing part of a memorial to what was, at the time, our nation's largest mass shooting without any supporting safety data or discussion is a cruel political act. The City of Orlando's safety crosswalks were all installed in close coordination with the state and adhere to national safety standards. In fact, the crosswalk that is part of the Pulse Memorial was installed by the state. This crosswalk not only enhanced safety and visibility for the large number of pedestrians visiting the memorial, it also served as a visual reminder of Orlando's commitment to honor the 49 lives taken. While this crosswalk has been removed, our community's commitment to honoring the 49 can never be erased." Now, we have also reached out to state leaders with FDOT, with the governor's office as well, to get some more information about this and a little bit of context here, because this all comes amid a conversation across the state here, as we know from reporting over the past couple of weeks that FDOT has been cracking down on these rainbow painted crosswalks in a number of cities, including Delray Beach, including Key West as well. They have talked about safety concerns and the need for kind of consistency within those crosswalks. This is in effect or in a concert with a new state law and regulations that went into effect this summer that prohibit some non-standard markings on the pavement. And so some of these cities have been pushing back against this effort to get them to paint over those crosswalks and have hesitated and resisted doing so. It appears that the crosswalk in Orlando has been painted over right outside the Pulse nightclub site. Again, we are following up on this, trying to get some more reaction, some more answers as well from the state. So certainly something that we are monitoring at this hour. We are also monitoring and waiting more information and details about the extradition of Harjinder Singh. Let me show you this video just in case you have forgotten. This is what we're talking about. He is the man who was accused in this deadly crash that was caused when police say he tried to make an illegal U-turn across Florida's Turnpike in St. Lucie County back on August 12th. He is now facing 3 counts of vehicular manslaughter here in the state of Florida. He has been living in California. That's where his driver's license and CDL were out of, but he's in the country illegally. And so a lot of conversation about how he was able to get that license, why he was still in the country as well. And so Governor Ron DeSantis has sent the Lieutenant Governor, Jay Collins, to California. Singh had an extradition hearing earlier this week. He did sign off to be extradited back to Florida, and the Lieutenant Governor on the ground in California today to bring Singh back to face those charges. In fact, we do expect to hear from Lieutenant Governor Collins this afternoon, and we'll bring that to you live here on Fox Local. But just a little bit ago, Governor Ron DeSantis did talk about this case, and here is what he said.
I think many of you saw we had 3 Floridians killed last week in a crash that was perpetrated by a guy driving a tractor trailer that was an illegal immigrant to this country. He got a driver's license, commercial driver's license from Washington State and, of course, California. Didn't speak English, and he tried to do a U-turn where it's official use only, and the other car didn't have a chance because it's just totally reckless and out of control driving. He is in custody in California, and I've sent our Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins, who's Green Beret, he knows operations. He is over there in California. He's going to be taking possession of this illegal alien truck driver. We're extraditing him back to Florida. He will arrive in Florida today, and he will get the book thrown at him very shortly after that, I can guarantee you. So stay tuned. You're going to be able to hear more for that. But how ridiculous is it that somebody would get a commercial driver's license who doesn't understand the language of this country, doesn't understand road signs, doesn't understand these things? And the feds, when they had him detained a couple days ago, they did an English test, and he failed abysmally, not even close. Like, not only like, a little English, no, he was terrible. And yet he's getting these commercial licenses from these sanctuary states. And, in the U.S., we all kind of have our opportunities to run our states the way we want. We've chosen to be the free state of Florida, and I think most people here appreciate that. California, Washington State, they're choosing much different pathways, and I think it's been very destructive to the people there. That's why people have fled those states. But, their policies and their recklessness spills over to other states in this country, and it's spilled over, in this case, to the state of Florida. So the 3 Floridians are dead, in part, because of the recklessness that we see out on the left coast. And, I think it needs to stop. But ultimately, it's going to require Congress to get off its rump and actually do something about this. Defund sanctuary states, defund sanctuary cities, rein in the excesses that we've seen in these states time and time again. And I hope that happens, because we cannot just sit and allow these tragedies to occur on and on and on. It's got to stop.
That was Governor Ron DeSantis just a little bit ago speaking in Arcadia. We will have more from his news conference for you in just a little bit, as he was talking about some projects and some grants for Florida cities. So we're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back after this. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner joins me now. And Brooks, still talking Hurricane Erin as it continues to move up the coast.
It does, and we're thankful here in Florida that this one missed us. We dodged a cannonball, Garrett. This was a big one, and it's producing huge waves up and down the northeast coast from the Jersey Shore all the way to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And it even did some significant erosion around parts of our region, specifically Daytona Beach shores. It kind of looks like somebody sliced a cake in the beach, kind of took a bite out of it, chewing away at some of the sand on the closer parts of the ocean. And that may have been partially due to some of the recent beach nourishment efforts where they take that coarser sand offshore and put it on the beach to try and shore everything up. But the problem with the coarser sand is it's less dense, less packed, and it's easier to pull it back out to sea. So Erin has had some impacts here. Dangerous rip currents continuing all week, although today the surf is much better out there for our local beaches for the surfers, but the surf is still too dangerous for swimmers. All right, the latest on this hurricane, winds of 105 miles per hour. It is moving northeast now, so it's heading out to sea, but there are still tropical storm conditions being felt across parts of the coastline in the northeast. Ultimately, this will make its way up into the northern Atlantic as we head into the weekend and lose its tropical characteristics. That's because it's going to become a frontal system with a cold front and a warm front, but still a big gale center, bringing dangerous seas to the shipping cargo lanes, if you will, between Europe and North America. All right, so elsewhere in the tropics, now that Erin is effectively leaving and the seas will start to subside, we'll get into some better beach conditions later this weekend. We've got to watch out for disturbance right now in red with a 70% chance of developing that could become Fernand, and then behind that 40% chance could become Gabrielle. And so we're just ticking down the list here. So far, no threats look to be apparent for Florida or for our region with both of these systems. There's a third system yet in the middle of the Atlantic with a 30% chance, but it's a low chance at best. I do want to show you this live view from Wildwood, New Jersey. This is the Jersey Shore, and it looks wild. Absolutely. This is tropical storm conditions. Winds there between 30 and 40 miles an hour. Waves battering the beaches. Surf reaching up to 10, 15 feet at times. Way too dangerous for the swimmers or even there for the surfers. But it's sort of a case proof positive that there are impacts happening from this hurricane as it works up the coastline. Well, for us, now that Erin is moving away, its grip is lessening, and yesterday it had an influence in our weather pattern because our weather was coming from the north as the air was rotating in around it counterclockwise. And in doing so, it brought in drier air, reducing our rain chances on Wednesday. Well, today, this Thursday afternoon, we've got higher rain chances with higher atmospheric humidity being transported back into the region from the southern Gulf. And with that westerly flow, we're going to see our weather coming, instead of from Jacksonville, it's going to come from Tampa. And so we're going to see a higher storm chance after 3 p.m. between about 3 and 7. And it looks like places like Brevard County and Osceola County could see some rumbles straight through dinner time. So that'll be a big change from a 30% chance yesterday, where we did have a couple of downpours and a rumble of thunder, to a 60% chance this afternoon. And then tomorrow, we've got a higher chance yet with a 70% chance for rain. So here's a look at the hour-by-hour forecast with rainfall. We'll go from a 40% chance at 2, and then once you pick up the kids from school or the bus stop lets off, the bus lets off at the bus stop, we'll see about a 60% chance of rain, that continuing through commute time through about 7 o'clock. All right, highs today. This is the other part of the weather story. Will be noticeably warmer with that west-southwest flow, and it'll be hot all the way to the beach because our winds will be offshore. That's part of the reason the waves look so nice off of Daytona Beach this morning and across the region down towards Satellite Beach. The wind is blowing offshore, kind of brushing them, smoothing them out. But look at the temperatures, 95 degrees at Cocoa Beach and in Titusville and in Melbourne this afternoon. So there's no semblance of a cooling sea breeze to be found at our Atlantic beaches. It's going to feel like it's as hot as 108 degrees in Titusville and in Melbourne. And that's significant because that's officially the threshold for a heat advisory. Now, so far, there hasn't been one issued, but we're kind of teetering. So this will be on the high end of heat and humidity, to say the least, also known as the end of August. And we're certainly there on this 21st of August. A 60% chance of rain today, a 70% chance Friday and Saturday, all afternoon activity. And then into the weekend, that trend continues. So actually, our weather forecast will be getting back to normal, Garrett, as we finish up this work week.
All right, Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner, we appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure as always. Thank you, Garrett.
We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. But we've got a lot to get to here, a lot going on this morning. So I want to let you know we are going to keep streaming live here for a while, try to get you at least to 1 o'clock when we expect to hear from Jay Collins live in Stockton, California, where he's picking up Harjinder Singh, the suspect accused in that deadly crash on the turnpike. So just want to let you know we'll have more than just 10 minutes. So we've got a lot to get to here today. One of the things I do want to play for you is Congressman Maxwell Frost, who we had live yesterday on our 2 o'clock show, Florida Live. He spoke to reporters before and after touring Alligator Alcatraz. So this was his, I believe, second visit to that illegal immigration detention facility in the Everglades. And he had been there once before, said it was a sanitized tour. There were things he wanted to see that he couldn't. He also wanted to speak with a number of the detainees there. And so we were able to listen in live yesterday as he spoke to reporters ahead of that tour and was talking about some of what he hoped to see, some of what he hoped to come out of that meeting. He also spoke afterward, after coming out of that tour, and I want to share with you what he saw and what he said he experienced at Alligator Alcatraz.
Hey everybody, thank you for being here today. I'm going to be pretty quick here. I just got out of the Everglades detention facility. I had another tour. Like I said before I went inside, the main reason I came here is to meet with a set of both constituents and people from the state that we had already cleared with the state, and it's the primary reason I came to Miami today from Orlando. I was unable to meet with any of the people that I was set out here to meet with. They said that they were transferred out, they were moved out. As of yesterday, the state had confirmed for me that I would be able to meet with them. So I'm extremely upset. This morning I was on the phone with a wife who was crying, saying, I don't know where my husband is. He has all these health conditions. I had a list of the questions to ask them. I was ready to speak with these folks. They have been transferred out of here. And again, just yesterday, the state had told me I could come speak with them. That's why I'm here. That's why I came down here again. So I'm very disturbed by that, number one. Why were they moved? Why were they moved so quickly? Why aren't they in there when I was told they would be in there and that I would be able to speak with them? The second part is I do have grave environmental concerns about what's going on in there. I saw things like the silt fencing being knocked down, which is supposed to be what keeps the Everglades clear and clean from things like leakage, whether it's from bathrooms. You talk about diesel tanks, gas tanks, fuel tanks, things like that. I saw leakage from a lot of the trailers and bathrooms and different things like that. And so there isn't consistency of the measures that they have taken to protect the environment. And so I think that the lawsuit that we're waiting on an answer on is the right thing to do. But I come out the same way I came out last time. I'm very disturbed. I will stay. It seems like the state itself understands that they could be told to shut this down, whether it's this week, next week, or in the future. There are only 336 people in there right now. Last time I came here, it was damn near 1,000. Just a few days ago, we heard the number was 400, 500. They're down to 336. A lot less people in the facility right now. So these are the things I've seen. Still cages, still horrible conditions. I thought because there's much less people in here, maybe they'd spread people out amongst the cages a little bit more to not put 32 people in one. That's not the case. It's still 32 people per cage. And again, I'm just very distraught and disturbed at the fact that I wasn't able to see the men that I came here to see. Any questions?
You saw that concerns you about your visit. Anything else that really concerns you about your visit, what you saw?
It's the same things, the conditions, and really a lot of this has to do with the fact that we have so many people squished into a small area. I'm also very concerned about the fact that when I went to the law library, which is where the immigrants are supposed to go to be able to speak with their lawyers and different things like that, they don't have access to what's called the Nexus system, which is a system that allows immigrants to look things up, look up their rights, look up different things like that. They don't have the system in there, and actually the person who was giving me to the tour admitted, and they said that when they had an audit recently, the federal government said, no, you need to have that in this facility. One other thing I want to say is the state time and time again has come out and has said, well, the federal government has nothing to do with this place. We're calling all the shots, this and that, depending on what lawsuit they're in. I was told in there time and time again, ICE calls the shots. ICE decides who comes in and who comes out. And I think it's important for everyone to know that.
3 quick questions related to 3 elements of what you said. One, you had mentioned it was your impression that they kind of know they might shut down. Was that just from the observation of seeing less people? And then the other 2 on the environmental things, when you talk about leaking from the trailers, like what fuel and then spelling out the silk screen?
Yeah, so first off, that's just, what I think is going on because of the fact that they don't have as many people. When I was here just a month and a half ago, they were boasting and excited about the fact that they were going to have thousands of people coming. They showed us a model unit, the unit that they would be building out. Obviously, they had the work stoppage. They can't construct anymore. But the fact that just a month and a half later, there was a big deal made about this place, and now they're down at 336 people. And they even told me now we have more people leaving than coming in. Shows me maybe they're not feeling good about it, but I don't know. That's me speculating from what I saw and how many people I saw in there. As far as the environmental concerns, yes, I did see leakage from the trailers. Could be AC, could be other things like that. It's hard to know. But what I was told is the reason we have the silk fencing up in certain areas is to protect the environment, but there isn't consistency of it. I saw a whole row of trucks that are hosting what I believe is either gas or propane or different things like that where there wasn't any silk fencing. I saw many huge generators in some of them, and you can actually see some of it right over here. They have a thing under it to catch any leakage. Well, that's not consistent either. I've counted multiple generators that didn't have that under it as well. So it seems like there's been a kind of half-assed attempt at protecting the environment here, probably because of the lawsuit, but because I knew what to look for, I can report out that they're not doing a good job of it. And it's something we should all be concerned about as Floridians. It's typically been a very bipartisan thing to take care of the environment. I actually did the tour with somebody else. I didn't realize Congressman Carlos Jimenez would be on the tour with me. And, something that he had brought up during the tour is, well, this was going to be the biggest airport in the world, one of the biggest airports in the country, and we had to stop it they had to stop it then because of impacts to the environment.
Congressman Carlos Jimenez.
Yes.
Did he just leave with you right now, too? He was with you the whole time?
We were on the tour the whole time together.
Okay, so you didn't talk to your detainees, the ones that you had hoped to. Did you talk to any detainees?
I did speak with a detainee as we walked through the thing. It's actually somebody who recognized Congressman Jimenez and called him aside to plead his case. And that was the only person that we got to speak with. But I didn't get to speak with the people I wanted to talk with, which again is the whole reason I came here.
But what did that detainee tell him?
He was speaking about the fact, he said, look, we're not here to cause trouble as immigrants. We're here to work. I've been in this country for so many years. My family is here. I'm not causing trouble. I'm not here to cause trouble. The men in here are not here to cause trouble. We're here to work for our families because we were told that this is the country to come to where there's opportunity. And what he said is the thing I've heard from so many immigrants and what I've heard from my own mother, the reason why she came here. And so it was really sad, but I'm glad he got to hear that directly from someone who I presume used to be one of his constituents because he recognized him.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Congressman Maxwell Frost speaking yesterday afternoon after his tour of Alligator Alcatraz. Again, we do have a lot to get to still, so keep it here on Fox Local. We're going to get you to this news conference from just a little bit ago in Auburndale as the State Division of Emergency Management opened up a new warehouse that they say is really going to help with logistics and operations for disaster recovery and mitigation. So we will get you to that news conference on the other side of this break. We're also going to hear from Governor Ron DeSantis, who was in Arcadia in DeSoto County, talking about some community development block grants that will help small cities in Florida, Arcadia being one of those. And we are also standing by for more from Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins coming up in a little bit this afternoon as well. So keep it right here on Fox Local. We've got a lot to get to, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us now on this Thursday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is noon here in Central Florida, and we appreciate you joining us as we continue our live coverage here today on Fox Local. Kevin Guthrie, the Executive Director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management, he was in Polk County earlier today in Auburndale, celebrating the opening of a new, what they're calling the Central Operations and Coordination Office there. It's essentially a warehouse that is going to expand their logistical and operational capacities and capabilities when it comes to natural disaster recovery and mitigation efforts as well. He also announced that they're opening a second similar warehouse. But one of the things he talked about in this news conference just a little bit ago was the strategic location of this warehouse in Auburndale and also the timing for opening it. This was Kevin Guthrie speaking just a little bit ago at the warehouse opening in Auburndale.
Freudian son. I used to be in Pasco and Polk. All right, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kevin Guthrie. I'm the Executive Director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management. And I want to especially thank Representative Ken Johnson, who is with us this morning, Representative Albert, who is with us this morning, a good friend of mine, Deputy Secretary of Health, Ken Shepke, and then officials from the City of Auburndale, partners, first responders, and members of our private partner here, Life Science Logistics, especially co-founder Max Cammey, who is with us today. And Max, you can go ahead and come on up here, please, as well. CEO David Cheatham and Vice President of Strategic Initiatives, Kyle Kingma. Under Governor DeSantis' leadership, Florida has made historic investments in emergency management. In the next several months, 2 best-in-class facilities will open to expand the state's logistical and operational capacity, backed by millions of dollars to enhance state and local response, recovery, and mitigation capabilities. For today's announcement, I am proud to announce the opening of the Florida Central Operation and Coordination Office, also we like to say FLACOCO, because everything's going to happen in Auburndale. This is more than a building. It's a strategic expansion that places logistics and personnel where they can have the greatest impact. It is an investment not just in emergency management, but in the safety and resilience of this community as well. Our vision is to be the best in the nation at every single thing that we do for emergency management. This warehouse is a commitment to that. The governor tells me all the time, Kevin, you cannot fail at food, water, fuel, power, and communications. If we can solve those things of a disaster in the first 72, the first 96 hours, we can solve about 99% of all problems. Everything that you see in this warehouse, in all 3 bays, is dedicated to doing those things. Getting the power back on, getting the communications restored, food, water. Everything, the facility also reflects our belief that effective emergency works by being embedded within the communities we serve. The I-4 corridor is Florida's economic population center. Being here means that we get there faster, we have more precise support for counties and cities across this region. Strategically co-located with major distribution centers and interstate infrastructure, it ensures life-saving resources reach Floridians quickly when every second counts. Some of the features of this building, nearly 450,000 square feet. We are already at 91% capacity, and that's a good thing for the state of Florida. We have doubled our cubic footage capacity. In our old building, we can only go about 2 or 3 layers high. As you'll see on the tour today, we are 5 and 6 layers high. So we've doubled that cubic footage capacity. We have the capacity for 300 personnel at this facility. Within the last 24 hours, it's been suggested by some that we don't use taxpayer dollars to keep Floridians safe. That is false. And it is proven with this facility and this opening that that is just 100% false information. We invest in Floridians. Our teams have been hard at work over the last month getting this place ready should a storm impact any of our communities. We also have been doing that against the false narrative that we are not ready for hurricane season. We can't walk and chew gum at the same time. So we're going to do that. And this is a classic proof that we have done that. We have 101 sleeping quarters on this site, up from 16. We have 400 trailer spaces, up from 130. We have drive-in load design, as you see behind here, is demonstrated by our semi. We have 3 hazardous materials closets with air quality monitoring and leak detection, which we did not have in our previous facility. This has an on-site helipad capable of landing Chinook helicopters so that we can do
November, voters here in California will have the option to approve partisan-drawn congressional maps, redrawn congressional maps. Now, the way the process usually works in California, there is a nonpartisan voter commission. Usually that nonpartisan commission every 10 years after the census redraws the congressional maps. It's comprised of both Democrats and Republicans, so it's seen as a very nonpartisan, fair way of redrawing congressional maps. What happened in recent months when Texas lawmakers, Republican Texas lawmakers, decided to redraw their congressional maps in the middle of the decade unexpectedly to add 5 Republican seats to Congress from Texas, California's governor, Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom, said, we have to do the same thing here. We're going to redraw our maps in order to offset those extra 5 Republican seats in Texas. Now, the process in California is different. Unlike Texas, voters have to approve this idea because they have to approve going around that nonpartisan commission that has existed here in California for well over a decade. So the governor and other Democratic lawmakers are asking California voters, and we'll ask them in this special election in November, if they're okay with doing that. We talked to some people here in Burlingame. This is a community about 20 miles south of San Francisco in the Bay Area, and we got a variety of opinions from them about whether or not they approve of this idea.
We always talk about where we're upset. I can't do anything, and so this is something that we can unite and work together on. So I'm for it.
I do have an issue with it. I mean, I think that, people should leave everything alone. Let's not change it.
If we believe that the current administration isn't doing the job they're supposed to be doing, then we should do everything in our power to counteract that.
I agree with him, and especially what's going on in Texas. I think we should counter. I want the Democrat to win next time. I want a democratic country.
Now, there have been some polls on this recently. A recent Axios poll released yesterday found that 57% of California voters say they would support the idea of temporarily pausing that nonpartisan system to redraw the congressional maps in a partisan way to favor Democrats. 35% of the people polled said they do not like that idea, and about 8% are still undecided. So California Republicans in Sacramento, yesterday they tried to file a lawsuit to stop this process from moving forward today, and the vote expected today. They were not successful. The California State Supreme Court denied their claim.
All right. Allie Rasmus there, KTVU over in San Francisco. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. As I mentioned, we'll definitely be in touch as all of this does continue to develop. And of course, we have been checking in with our different California and Texas affiliates. I do want to send it over to Fox 7 Austin as they break down a little bit more about what played out there in Texas just yesterday.
88 ayes and 52 nays. House Bill 4 is finally passed.
Several hours of heated debate leading up to the passage of House Bill 4 in the second special session of the 89th legislature.
That's not what I said. I said...
Oh, I'm so sorry. What did you say then?
I said exactly what you know I said.
No, I don't know what you said.
Yes, I did. If you'd been here for 18 days, you would have known.
The early congressional redistricting maps would bolster the GOP's control by potentially handing Republicans 5 additional seats in Congress.
What's happening in Texas affects everybody. 5 congressional seats are huge.
We are allowed to draw congressional districts on the basis of political performance as recognized by the U.S. Supreme Court in Rucho versus Common Cause.
The Dems went in knowing they didn't have the votes to stop the bill's momentum, but they still feel satisfied about their efforts to stall its passage after breaking quorum, gaining national attention, and sinking the first special session.
And I think we're passing the baton on to other states for them to continue this fight while we take this fight to the Texas House and see where we can take it to the courts. So I'm really optimistic and I feel really good.
I hope you are proud of your policies.
Their main strategy on Wednesday was clearly about laying the groundwork as they prepared to take their case to court.
We were just trying to get Republicans to specify how they came up with it because they have to try really hard to silence minority voices when the growth of 95% of Texas population has been in minority communities. And so we wanted to get that on the record so that we can go to the courts.
We're all Texans. Racial gerrymandering is the phrase that's repeatedly underscored by the left, claiming minority voter voices being silenced under the redraw.
So, Mr. Chairman, did you do any analysis or review whether voting is racially polarized in Texas before, during, or after the drawing of this map?
However, State Rep Todd Hunter broke down the numbers in detail, saying the new maps make 4 out of the 5 districts majority minority Hispanic.
To 2021. In 2021, there were